I think Donald Trump understood this, and his view of the world was the U.S. will not be able to maintain this position. China is growing too fast. We need to shore up our borders. We need to bring back manufacturing, build up our economy, and get ready. Otherwise, it'll be a hard fall. And the establishment uniparty deep state said, no, we just need to blow up more people and just keep dropping bombs until they learn they can't screw with us and the dollar is the reserve currency. I think Trump was right. They can't stop China's growth.
No, well, I don't know. China may stop its own growth. They're a bit of a Potemkin economy. They've got a lot of stuff behind the scenes that is ugly, and I think they're not in a position to capitalize.
Except their authoritarian structure allows them to rapidly shift priorities, steal any resource they want on a moment's notice. It's much more difficult for the U.S., but the U.S. still does do it. It's not like the will of the people really matters to the U.S. government for the most part.
Well, and the other thing that has been happening between the Uniparty and the globalists, the World Economic Forum crew, is weakening the United States. They want to weaken it enough to allow a global counterpart to push up against the Chinese. They think they can do it if the U.S. is weak enough and somehow they spread that power across all of the component parts of like the G20. Then you've got a global organization that can take on the Chinese and is better than them. And the problem is the Chinese could win before that happens. Who's going to coalesce around that?
Outside of all of that, our banks are falling apart.
Which is not good.
Yeah.
All right, you want a good prediction?
Sure.
So 100 years ago, there was a Great Depression. What started it? Well, stocks crashed. There were runs on banks, right? Right. So everything was really bad. Then there was possibility of a world war coming right after that, wasn't there? Don't we have
kind of just after World War I?
Yeah. So we'd finished the war to end all wars. And then all of a sudden we have a depression and then, we need another world war, right? So now we've got a world war brewing. So I'm saying all we got to do is ride that.
Pandemic too. How about that?
Pandemic. We didn't have that back then, but you had the Spanish flu.
We had
Spanish flu and other things. So you got all the same things that took everybody down. But you know what? Here's what you got to remember. The greatest period of prosperity was right after Second World War. So all we got to do is ride out the next 20 years and we'll be fine.
25 or so. And then there'll be a few years after that.
There you
One
go.
of the things that helped bolster the U.S. economy was the complete destruction of the manufacturing bases in the countries that were at war.
Right.
Japan was wiped out, and much of Europe was wiped out. So if you needed something made, it was American.
Well, and here's the thing. Maybe we need to bait China and Russia. The problem is China and Russia are allies now. You got the Dragon Bear Alliance. And so the odds of them getting into a fight and destroying their manufacturing capability is slim. So we're not going to get that bonus.
We need to take Trump's advice. We need to protect our borders. We need to start manufacturing. We need to start becoming more self-sufficient because I think the long fall is coming. Imagine what it would be like if Donald Trump was president for the past 2 years. You would have more manufacturing. You'd have a stronger U.S. economy. You'd have lower inflation. You'd have less war. You'd have no war in Ukraine. I mean, it just sounds really nice, doesn't it?
I think that's probably reasonable to assume that there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine. I'm not so sure about the other stuff because Donald Trump was printing money just as fast as Biden was. We'd have had a lot of the same issues. Maybe we get out of it.
We didn't.
Pardon me?
We didn't. But the pandemic is a weird scenario.
Yeah.
That goes from 2020 into 2021. I'm not going to blame either Biden or Trump for the weirdness, but I can say the moment Biden gets into office and signs all these executive orders, inflation just shoots straight up and wages go straight down. I really don't think Donald Trump secretly planned a policy to execute the moment or within like 3 weeks of Biden becoming president.
No,
I think Biden signed a bunch of executive orders and nuked everything.
There is an amount of truth to that. The executive orders that Biden signed when he first got into office, there was a lot of regulations that he reinstated and stuff. But still, the main factors that led to the inflation and stuff. I mean, Donald Trump was talking about doing more stimulus at the end of his presidency and stuff. So I don't see a significant difference economically. I think that we're probably in the same place, whether it be Biden or Trump. But as for international stuff, like foreign relations and stuff, I think the U.S. was better. Well, the world was better off with Donald Trump than with Biden. I think that's pretty clear. I don't think we see a war in Ukraine with Donald Trump.
Not a chance. And we didn't see any of the tyrants acting up. And all of a sudden Biden's in and everybody knows they can roll over his team. They show us, let's do Afghanistan. That
not
went
just that.
swimmingly.
Everybody knew that Donald Trump's incentive was, I want America to be a nice place for Americans.
Right.
I don't care about you. And they said, okay.
Yeah.
So Russia's like, well, I'm not going to need to invade if the U.S. isn't pushing for NATO expansion anymore. And then with the way they frame it in the corporate press here is Donald Trump was doing Putin's bidding.